Hello, everyone, and welcome to our podcast. We are Netflix and chill in 10 minutes. As the name suggests, our podcast is all about sharing our thought on movies you can watch on Netflix, and we do it in just around 10 minutes. Today, we are going to talk about the Thursday Murder Club. This movie is based on the best-selling mystery novel, and it follows a group of retirees who meet every week to investigate unsolved crimes. What starts out as a hobby quickly turned into a real murder case, and the club members find themselves right in the middle of it. It's a mix of mystery, humor, and heartwarming moments, and it really makes you think about friendship, aging, and the power of teamwork. So let's get started. I'd love to hear your first impressions. What did you think of the film when you watched it?
Um, Honestly, when I was watching the Thursday Murder Club, the mystery away. The case was fun to follow, but I felt like the puzzle pieces clicked together a little too neatly. I never had that edge of my seat moment where I was dying to know what would happen next. But what kept me hooked was definitely the characters, the way they teased each other, argued over small things, and then worked as a team. I thought that was the real charm of the movie. Well, for example, I love those scenes where they're sitting around with tea, throwing out like theories like professional detectives, even though they're clearly just having fun with it. It felt so natural and funny. What also stayed with me was the whole fantasy of aging the film creates. Like, instead of showing retirement as this quiet, lonely stage, it showed these people living such active, meaningful lives, solving crimes, making new friends, even getting into trouble sometimes. It made me think, like, wow, that's the kind of old age I'd actually want. So yeah, the mystery might have been a little simple, but the friendships, the humor, and the sense of energy these characters had really made the film stand out for me.
Um, at first, when I saw the trailer, I wasn't expecting a very deep story in this movie. I thought the overall vibe would be more of lighthearted and comedy based. It actually was, but when I got about halfway through the movie, I was getting serious and concentrated hard, trying to solve the case with them. I actually liked the way it had twists contained so that the story doesn't get too boring and always you allows us to keep on guessing. I even got wrong several times, falling for the storyline. I realized I'm not much of a detective, but there were a few moments in the movie that made me feel a little confused or odd. What I thought was that there were too many coincidences. I mean, how could the club members find out the clues so well? They are even better than the police. One scene that pops into my head right now is when Elizabeth finds out about the flower shop. It felt as if everything was wrapping up at once in a hurry. I really did like the warmness in the movie though. All four people seem so nice and warm-hearted, but are very energetic and active at the same time. I actually thought it would be really nice to have those kinds of clubs in reality.
When I watched the Thursday Murder Club, the first thing that I caught my attention was the tension at the beginning. It starts with a cold case from the 1970s and it pulled me in right away. The story happens in a place called Cooper Chase, where four older people, Elizabeth, Ron, Ibrahim, and Joyce, get together every Thursday to look into old cases. Each of them has their own personality, so it was fun to see how different they were. For me, Elizabeth was the most interesting. There was a moment when she gave her husband tea with medicine in it, and I kept thinking, who really is she? The movies also shows a big old house and nice garden in England, which made it very beautiful to watch. The part that shocked me the most was the twist. It turned out that Penny had killed Peter herself, and her husband John kept the secret for many years. I didn't see that coming at all. It made me think that just because someone is old doesn't mean they are weak. In the end, I felt the movie was more than just about crime or mystery. It was also about friendship, cleverness, and hidden strength. That's why the Thursday Murder Club stayed in my mind even after it was over.
What struck me about this movie is that even though it's a crime story, the line between good and evil isn't clear at all. In most crime films, you can spot who's guilty and who's innocent right away. But here, the so-called victims aren't completely blameless, and the perpetrators aren't entirely cruel either. Let me take Penny and John for instance. They commit murder, but they do it out of love and a belief that they are pursuing justice. Still, their decision ends up creating new victims, and that really made me pause and think about where justice ends and guilt begins. Plus, the main characters were also really unique. They're retired seniors, and the more normal cliche is showing older people still can take on challenges. But in this movie, it highlights the wisdom coming from age and their life experiences. Even though it deals with murder, there are moments showing friendship, warmth, and even the scenes of humor. By the end, you can think of life, love, and even think deeply about justice. So I recommend this film even to people who usually stay away from the crime genre. I promise you that this film has enough depth and variety to entertain you.
Oh, thank you all for sharing your thoughts today. It was really interesting to hear different perspectives on the Thursday Murder Club, from the mystery elements to the humor and the heartwarming part. That's all for today's episode of our podcast. We hope you enjoyed listening, and maybe this will inspire you to check out the movie yourself on the Netflix. Thank you tuning in, and we will back next time with another film discussion. See you then.